Hold on,
So
before we get started, Michael, do you remember that time you started that stupid Shopnomix company instead of doing biz with Harrison and I? I just wanted you to know that I really appreciate that.
Didn't start the business, employee of the business. I'm just a low-level sales guy.
well, that's not what it says here in your intro.
Wanna make that paper, wanna make that now. This is the affiliate marketing show. Wanna make that paper, wanna make that now. This is the
What's up, everybody? This is Josh coming to you with another episode of the Affiliate Marketing Show. Please be sure to like, follow, and subscribe to stay up to date on all the latest affiliate marketing news, tips, and trends. Once again, I'm Josh from OfferVault.com, the industry's leader in all things affiliate marketing. We also have Daddy Call Bucks, Adam Young. We also have the industry legend, Harrison Gevirtz, and Michael Boghosian, the SVP of Partnerships at Shopnomix, a performance marketing platform with a brand-safe inventory designed to capitalize on consumer intent and shorten their path to conversion. What's up, Mike? How are we doing today?
Doing very well. Thanks for asking. How are you?
I am doing well. We may call you Bogey. I don't know. We'll see how Adam and Harrison want to play it, but we appreciate you coming on the show. I know you're really excited to talk to us about Shopnomix. The way you explained it to me and the way I kind of read about it online, it does sound super interesting. So real quick, before we dive into some other things today, why don't you tell us a little bit about Shopnomix and how it actually capitalizes on consumer intent?
Yeah, absolutely. So what Shopnomix does is we're basically an agency that helps monetize commerce supply. We work with a range of different publishers, which was an adjustment for me, flipping from the advertiser side to the publisher side and back and forth with affiliate network to agency. But basically, we work with buy now, pay later sites, content sites, pre-search discount sites, creators, influencers, et cetera, to just maximize results for our publishers. It's all commerce. It's all brand safe. We're working with nuts.com, Macy's, Walmart, Etsy, Amazon, et cetera. Those are the types of brands that we're currently working with.
Can you break down for me, like, exactly how a buy now, pay later website works?
Sure. So basically what they're doing is giving a microloan to people who are looking to buy a product on their site.
Gotcha. And how do you guys capitalize on the consumer intent per se? Like what's the data that you're actually using to turn that into real results for the people that are working with you?
The data that we're using on the buy now, pay later side specifically, or just in general?
Just in general.
I mean, just in general, it's very high intent driven clicks. So if someone's going to one of these sites, they're typically looking for a specific product or brand to either save money on, to capture a deal on, something like that. So the conversion rates are already super high. We're just giving them what they actually want. And instead of working with a CJ Rakuten, Impact, et cetera, all the way down the line, you can work with one isolated company that does all of that work for you.
So I'm assuming there's, a pretty strong reason as to why you kind of got into the commerce and shopping space. So can you kind of give us a bird's eye view of like what that part of the industry is looking like today and why affiliates or publishers who may not already be in this space should definitely consider getting involved?
Yeah, I mean, that's a really good question. Honestly, it's stable, I think, is the number one thing that I felt good about getting a little bit older and having a family, kids, et cetera. Having something that
It's true. Bogey has aged a lot in the past 2 years. I just had to chime in.
Dude.
It's true. You're going gray, bro.
I am. The beard shows it too.
Your wig looks amazing, though.
This I can pull. I mean, that's real. Haircut for
He
you
has
guys.
the same toupee guy as Trump. It's like, I'm surprised it's not orange.
I have a question for you, Bogey. How do you feel about Josh calling me the daddy of calls?
No, I said Daddy Call Bucks. It's an Annie reference.
Whatever.
Like Daddy Warbucks.
Yeah, exactly.
Annie?
Oh, we're really
Annie reference?
Yeah,
I-
it's
I
a hard
quit.
not life.
Oh, I know. I'm just devastated by that.
Well, the other.
This is a manly podcast, bro. You
the
other name, a musical.
Fuck. The other name I give him is the Call Daddy, but he usually shakes his head in disgust when I use that. So I thought I'd switch it up today.
A little poke never hurt anyone.
So when I'm curious, was this up and running during like peak COVID, and did that have a huge impact on the business, or was it kind of COVID that led you to opening it up? Like what came first?
So I don't own this company. I'm
right.
Sales guy here. What I really liked about it was basically the stability of shopping. I was doing a lot of that work prior to coming here. Macy's is not going to go down, I hope. Amazon is here to stay. So basically, when I was an affiliate manager many moons ago, I worked on two different sides. Basically, I told people to build their campaigns for seasonal stuff. I told people to build campaigns for auto insurance, things like that, because those staples are always going to be there. People are always going to want cheaper auto insurance. For the holidays, they're always going to need products like wine or nuts, for example, or
nuts.
Even e-cards. I know campaigns on my mind because we got a great deal on it recently.
Yo, how are the nuts selling, by the way?
Very, very well. A little cashew, a little almond.
Is this high nut season? No, I'm serious.
Do you represent D's nuts?
I mean, for sure. You got D's?
I would think this is high nut season, though. Is it not going into like the holidays?
That's what that's basically what I was referring to. So like
nuts are booming.
Fuck, send someone a gift of nuts.
Yeah, you can't show up like empty-handed though to someone's house. And like if you go
You ever gotten like a Harry and David basket, Harrison?
Yeah, that's
you know where they have
includes not just nuts. And when I get nuts,
like
some
salami.
Can they send me an iPod or something?
They actually include some sausages with their nuts. So you get a little bit of both. But this next question comes from Adam Bogey. And he wanted, I think it did. I'm pretty sure it did. He wanted to know, and I'll ask on his behalf, is how did you make the transition from employee to entrepreneur? I know that's kind of a loaded question, but why are you shaking your head?
He just said he doesn't own the company.
I
know, but why did you send that question then, boss?
So, I have an answer for it because I like the question. I consider myself an entrepreneur first and foremost. Even going back to my childhood, like if you needed something, I figured out a side hustle to get whatever you needed. Coming from New York, whatever. If you think about it and ask for it, I could probably get it and try to make some type of money on it. There's a market for everything.
So I want to talk a little bit about your previous experience at the other companies before Shopnomix, specifically everything that falls under the umbrella of Red Spark, like 50 on Red, RTX, and Push Toast. I'm wondering, how has the process of working with traffic evolved over the past 10 years? Kind of where was it back then? Where is it today? And where do you see it going moving forward?
Another really good question. I think that market has changed tremendously. The way that I feel about those types of traffic sources is still positive. I just think that the way that things have changed over the past 10, 15 years is really insane. It used to be you get direct traffic and you sold your direct traffic. And when the companies were doing that, 50 on Red specifically, it was we'd basically go out, we'd find an installer, and we'd monetize it for them. With RTX had its own direct traffic. And then in addition to that, we also were an exchange, which is real-time exchange. That's where RTX came from. And with that, you're buying and selling other people's traffic. With that process comes some good traffic, some bad traffic, some mixed traffic, and rebrokered traffic. And obviously, buying rebrokered traffic is much harder than buying direct traffic. But getting everything in one place is the solution that we were trying to solve for.
I want to make a bot traffic joke so bad right now, but I'm not going to.
I mean, that is the hardest part about running an exchange, is dealing with that stuff. There are scammers everywhere. And buying the rebrokered traffic, it's hard to police because you're dealing with billions of requests a day. So
what are some of the methods of trying to police rebrokered traffic? Or is it really like you're kind of just out of luck and you got to deal with it?
I mean, you try to do the best you can with what you have. If you can look at IP addresses, you can look at user agents, you can look at time on site if you're buying traffic internally. I mean, the most powerful thing is trying to get as much pixel data as possible and cleaning up the network as much as you possibly can.
Let's talk about kind of new ad networks and traffic sources that are just getting started to kind of piggyback off of what we were just talking about here. From all your experience over the past decade, what would be like a few mistakes that you kind of experienced that you might be able to say like, hey, don't do what I did because it kind of set you back?
It goes both ways. I mean, I touched on the pixel thing before. If you're going to work with a network, onboard advertisers that are buying your traffic that you know and trust, and the relationship has to go both ways. Getting that pixel data will tell you if traffic's good or bad right away, and you need a high volume of it. Because if you're running one type of offer, it could do great. If you're running another type of offer, it could do terrible. And you basically have to figure out the difference between the two. That's the first thing. The second thing is, with the good traffic, don't take high margins. Protect your good traffic the best way you can. Make sure the publisher you're working with is happy and you're happy at the same time. There is always going to be someone coming in with a better deal that tries to get that really good traffic. And without good traffic, you're going to lose all your demand. It's a circle, and you have to keep both sides happy at all times.
I think that strategy is the correct one, Mike. Harrison and I used to be fairly large customers of RTX and a bunch of their competitors, and we always worked to try and maximize the margins of our partners as well, because we obviously wanted that influence, but we wanted to maintain the relationship and, with luck, a monopoly over it. And so with everyone competing for traffic, generally that type of strategy works. Also, what Harrison and I used to do is we used to send big prepay wires to traffic platforms and ad networks just to show, hey, we're serious, we want to pre-buy the traffic, or we try and reserve specific segments of traffic. Like on RTX specifically, or other similar platforms, there are always sub IDs for traffic sources. And if we could, we would just buy out the inventory of a specific sub ID or try and negotiate for the traffic that we knew would work to get it off of the public marketplace. And if we had to, we'd prepay for that traffic. And by doing that, we would try to create moats around our business. And when we did that, we generally would do it at a lower margin, simply because we wanted to protect the deal and keep it going for as long as possible. I just had dinner with Harrison, some education lead gen guys recently at LeadsCon in Chicago, and we were talking about a similar thing when it came to education leads. And many years ago, I was a pretty big education affiliate. This was like a decade ago, and I ran at, I think it was like 8 or 9% margin on Google AdWords lead gen, and they just let me keep doing it for 5 years. And I was the only affiliate authorized for Google AdWords because they didn't care about the 8%, and they knew that I would get the job done. And so I literally had this campaign that made me 6 figures a year that I didn't even log into the Google AdWords account for, I think, the last 2 years. Like, it just made money. It ran consistently. I'd look at the reports that were emailed, and it worked for everybody. And taking a lower margin like that and benefiting all parties actually got me this monopoly that was amazing for me. I did want to ask you something about traffic sources in general, because you've been around the block for a long time. Like, I think the first time we did biz was almost a decade ago. I know Harrison's known you longer. Over that period of time, we've seen a lot of consolidation in traffic sources, and a lot of traffic sources have disappeared. A lot of the tier 3, tier 2 players. And now most affiliates generally run Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and not a lot else, or Google ads, right? And so from your perspective, what type of shift have you seen in the third-party traffic source platforms like RTX? And are you aware of any strategies that exist for affiliates that maybe are stuck in the Facebook, YouTube mindset, where you might be able to guide them in going off those platforms and finding some more niche traffic sources?
Lot to unpack.
Yeah, that's a lot.
You might have to repeat some of that for me. I can go in reverse order, I guess. I think that affiliates should always try to diversify their traffic sources as much as possible. I have been involved in some businesses that were strictly AdWords. I've been involved in some businesses that were strictly GDN. Some people just get used to their traffic sources. If they're making enough money, they're happy and they don't really need to scale. At the same time, I have been in this since 2007. I've never had everything work all at once, ever. It's always something's working great and then something else dies. It's never all firing at once. So like someone who's 100% Facebook, what if you lose your Facebook account? What if you lose all 10 of your Facebook accounts? There's always things like that happen. And rather than have downtime and make no money over the course of 2 weeks, a month, whatever it is, I think it's always worth having backup plans, even if they're not that high of volume. If it's set and forget, like Adam used to have, I mean, that's the dream. But
you can't set it, forget it either way, but you still want to watch facilities. Or Bogey fucking flips the switch on some of that dog shit. And then you spend $4,000 in 10 minutes on some bots. It's never happened, guys.
Never. I mean, some people just shouldn't run a network to their campaigns and then, go on a vacation.
Well, I mean, this has bit me in the ass multiple times too. I mean, I'll tell some of the terrorizing stories. I was in Thailand at one point on Koh Samui, and I was on, at that point, the less populated side of the island. My internet went out due to a monsoon. And I said, whatever, right? And I just hung out for a couple days. And then finally I drove in the rain to an internet cafe, and one of my campaigns had turned, and I lost $67,000 in those 3 days on Facebook ads. And so it kind of ruined my vacation.
That'll kill a trip pretty quickly.
Yeah, I immediately changed my ticket and flew back home because I had to figure out how to unwind all that nonsense. So the set and forget doesn't always work. For the education one, it was after like 4 or 5 years of optimizing the campaign and running. And then like the last two, there was nothing left to do. Like Google had sort of already optimized it all and it was running. So
with those, before you jump off that, with those, there are some CPA networks out there. I mean, I personally don't have any that I can speak publicly about, but if you can find a CPA network where you can go in, you can say, I'm willing to pay for conversion. That's more what I mean for set and forget.
You mean a traffic source that'll accept a CPA?
Correct. And usually getting something like that will require a large prepay and a commitment, a good relationship with an account manager, stuff like that.
One thing I'm curious about, Bogey, what do you think about the consolidation of traffic sources? Like when we first became friends, there were so many networks that existed and they all just got gobbled up. I mean, even the exchanges were
gobbled up or poor cash flow.
Well, they got like DoubleClick's gone, AppNexus, now Verizon. It's all there was a festive acquisition that made it so now like you're either buying from Google or Facebook, TikTok,
Microsoft, etc. Yeah, no, I get it.
Or it's there's still the other networks of the world, like your previous employer and stuff, but it's just a different ballpark. Like you're not buying CNN.com traffic unless it's from one of those, maybe from like a Taboola or something. But it used to be like 26 different ad networks are selling traffic from this tier 1 news site, and they are running their own ad server and rotating tags, etc. Now it's just like 3.
Yeah, I mean, header bidding definitely changed the game a lot in that aspect. Google's compliance updates with ads.txt changed a lot also, if we're talking about display. On the publisher side, like you own a site and you're trying to monetize it, I think it's generally good because the majority would be those larger networks that are buying anyway. But on the risk side, like you still want to set artificial floors and try to raise bids and make people bid up. So it's more work at the same time, I guess.
And for our audience that's unfamiliar with display and how it's evolved over time, header bidding is the practice of where a publisher, which is generally a website, think of a news site like CNN.com or something of that nature, bids out their ad spot to multiple exchanges before accepting a tag. So they're basically allowing multiple parties to bid on that ad space so that they can maximize the amount of money that they're making by going through all the different exchanges. And so it gives the publisher a little bit more control over their monetization. It also makes it so that the advertisers are in a much more competitive environment to buy that inventory.
Live bidding, basically, per individual.
Yeah, and they do it on a per ad spot basis. It's super fast and it's incredible technology, but it has changed. It has changed things for advertisers. It made it highly competitive. It actually makes it harder to spot Michael's bots because they can be on all the different exchanges at the same time. It's added a layer of complexity to the industry, but it's made a lot of benefits for the industry as well. So
it got rid of, Adam, think about it. Like, do you remember the Gucci Man banner? You know the Gucci
Yes,
Man banner.
I do.
We paid a flat rate CPM. That doesn't even really exist anymore. Like it does, but like you're not calling DatPiff and saying, "Hey, I want this banner on the right-hand side under the mixtape player, and I'll pay you $3 CPM." Like why would they do that? They can just run it on 4 different.
But they still will do that. That's the difference.
But it's not as common.
You can put it in there, and as long as you're above whatever their minimum is, they'll show you if you don't get outbid. That's the positive side of it. So you can still get.
Yeah, but there was no bidding when we were playing ball here.
That's the point. If you want to bid, you go to Google or you go to Microsoft or whoever, or AppNexus is now Microsoft, and that's how you bid for that placement. But if you go to these super premium sites and you basically say, "Hey, I'll give you $150,000, 1x24 frequency cap. Here's a CPM." It's pretty easy to go into the system and just put that in. And if you win that impression, you still win it. It's just a flat rate.
Yeah, exactly. But you're still bidding against everybody else. And then the exchanges can come in with their mobile ad IDs and all their appended demographic information, their customer profile segments and retargeting, and outbid you for all of the highest quality traffic. And so sure, you've got this flat rate deal, but all the best quality traffic is going to get poached right off the top by the programmatic exchanges. So yeah, I think to Harrison's point back in the day, and I remember, him making this ad spend, we were literally laughing about it when he made the banners when we lived together like 15 years ago. He just hit up DatPiff. It was like, "Hey, I'll give you this money." And he bought 100% of the inventory that he wanted for a flat rate CPM. And to his point, that doesn't exist anymore. They're going to auction off whatever they can at a higher rate. And sure, they'll let you buy the remnants at a flat rate CPM. And if you want all of it, you're going to end up having to pay significantly more for all impressions than their average bid across the board just to get them to do it. So it's really a different game today, and doing display ARB or anything of that nature is like a highly complex, very expensive enterprise. I don't know how possible it really is for like some random kids on the internet to just go and arbitrage display placements like we did 15 years ago.
No, you need a major money backer, and you need to be able to float tremendous money.
Yeah.
Well, Bogey, that kind of leads into another question I had for you. If some random kids on the internet can't get into this side of the space with display, or if it's very difficult to do that, what on the flip side would be kind of your advice to a new publisher or random internet kid in terms of how they could get their feet wet on this side of the industry in today's market?
Yeah, I mean, basically, one, research, because you don't want to just burn your money. Two, you have to figure out, you just have to basically plan everything out. You need to know where you want to run. You need to know where you want to run, what your cash flow looks like. You need to know and understand payment terms, because a lot of people will sit there and say, okay, I have $5,000 to test. And then they're getting paid a net 30, which means that they can only spend $2,500 per month if they want to keep the traffic steady, because they have to wait 30 days after that month. Credit cards have made it easier, but at the same time, like, you still have to pay the credit card bill. Interest rates are not going down in the near future. So
and they have limits. So your credit limit is going to be, you still have a ceiling if you have a credit card. Not everyone, even though Amex is unlimited credit, eventually they're going to make you pay.
Even with a there is still a credit limit. So
there's no such thing as unlimited credit with Amex. My green card, I use the vintage one now, Michael. I'm not into the stupid stuff. My green card has no limit, right? But if I try and buy a plane with it, they're gonna stop the transaction.
I don't know, Adam. Maybe not for you. for me, yes, they'll stop.
Well, I guess it depends on the size of the plane. So what I want to do here is give some good advice if there's some young affiliates watching. If you're going to finance your ad spend on a credit card and it's prospecting and you're not sure whether it's going to pay back or you're going to break even or whatever the case is, I highly recommend not using a credit card and using a charge card, like an American Express card, where you have to pay off the entire statement balance on a monthly basis, and they will not let you roll to minimum payments, because nothing is worse than failing at an advertising campaign, except failing at an advertising campaign and paying 24% interest on a credit card.
Bro, the rates are like 36 now.
29.
20. See, I don't know. So I don't even have an actual credit card in my personal life. I only use charge cards. I always have, because I just don't see a credit card as something as being good for anybody financially. Like, if you need the terms and you want the points or the cash back, great. But I prefer charge cards where it's not even possible to not pay the entire thing off at the end of the month. And if you're going to be, if you're a new affiliate or you're on a limited budget, go get an Amex, even a green card or a blue one or whatever that's a charge card, so that you don't fall into the trap of owing a bunch of money and then having to pay it off with 30% interest, because
there's a margin right there, no matter what.
Yeah,
negative margin.
Am I an idiot for not knowing what a charge card is?
Yeah.
Like, I know debit card. Is that what you're saying? Like,
no, if you go get a platinum card on Amex, it's not actually a credit card, it's a charge card. So if your statement's due, you have to pay the balance in full.
Okay.
They'll fucking shut you off.
Yeah, I haven't entered into that sector of the world yet, but thank you for breaking it down for me.
Do you need a referral link?
Yeah. Adam, I'm surprised to hear you've never had a credit card, though. Are you just... It's like, well, not.
No, I haven't either.
Oh, we lost you. So, you're a silhouette now.
Sorry about that. I'll come back here. I used to have a credit card when I was young and I had my first business. And I actually just talked about this at the Contact.io keynote in my story, which is now on Spotify. Contact.io put it out. You can look for the Paper Call Revolution on Spotify and find it. But my first ever financial instrument was a credit card, and I got it on my 18th birthday. They gave me a $20,000 limit to get started, which was outrageous. And I started a business and I put a ton of expenses on there, and I made some money with the business, but I didn't keep track of the expenses. And as embarrassing as it is, that business went out of business and I was left with, I think in total, because I got a second credit card, something like $30,000 in credit card debt. And then after that, obviously, I couldn't pay it. And so my credit became very bad and I had to deal with that. And it took me a while to deal with it and clean it up. And once I cleaned it up, thank you to affiliate marketing for changing my life, I got rid of the credit cards and I got an American Express card, which is a charge card. And ever since, for the last 19 years or whatever, I've only used charge card financial instruments for personal and business use. Harrison knows this. He deals with a lot of it. All of, for instance, Ringba's financial instruments that are credit cards are they have to be paid off. Even the MasterCards or the Amex or whatever we're using, they have to be paid off at the end of the month. We don't allow any rolling.
We have one card that we've negotiated a high cash back on, but it's because they don't want to float it. We pay them weekly because we get higher cash back that way. We could take less cash back if we paid monthly, but we're like, fuck that. We can just float it. We can just pay it fast, get that cash back.
Yeah. And so Harrison's really amazing at this. And we've always done it this way. We've done business for a long time. We've always made sure to use financial instruments that provide us some type of benefit, but don't give us a whole bunch of real credit so that we can go burn our business down by accident. And so we've always been really tight on payment terms. We've always kept high cash reserves, and we've always used charge cards and other things like that so that we can't even put ourselves in a position where we run into an issue. And so some advice for young affiliates is do that, right? Like, make sure that you keep a cash reserve, make sure that you're not running up credit card bills and paying minimums. And anyone listening, whether you have a business or not, like, credit cards are how you put yourself in a really terrible position.
Fuck you.
Yeah.
I guess in a way, I kind of treat my credit card as a charge card after you just explain that. Like, I always pay it off in full at the end of the month. I never let it roll over, but in theory, I suppose it still is not a charge card. Speaking of the new affiliates that you were talking about and giving them some advice, Bogey, with that in mind, like, what are some of the best traffic types you worked with or that you recommend newer affiliates and publishers focus on? And on the flip side, what are kind of some of the least favorite types from your previous experience in that side of the industry?
Don't say my name when you say least favorite. I get it.
I don't have any least favorite types.
Lies.
Definitely a lie.
We've talked shit about people on the phone so many times. Give me a fucking
our private conversations are private.
Hey, I'm not going specific. I'm just saying, brother.
No, I mean, the best types, everything falls into cash flow and how you set up your campaigns. Just before we move past the credit card stuff, if you have a credit card and you're getting weekly payments, pay your credit card bill weekly. There's nothing wrong with that. But I mean, for me, if you're brand new to the industry, make sure you have tracking set up. And I mean, the new tab domain redirect is probably the easiest way to get started. It's pretty easy to monetize if you have the right tracking set up, and it's all self-targeting for the most part. So if you're buying Macy's.com for domain redirect, you'd bid on a mistype of Macy's or the keyword Macy's. And you can do the same thing with new tab. That's probably the easiest. The second favorite that I like, just from experience, would be push. Some of the networks out there are giving CPA buys if you're working with them on the other side, collecting push users for them. And then if you want to go more mainstream, like, again, it depends on the vertical, but if you're running e-commerce, you can work the Outbrains, Tabulas, et cetera, use their pixel, use their technology. And then if you want to spend more and get more volume, Facebook. And then Google offers a ton of free classes for AdSense, display, and YouTube specific buying. You can buy them also. And if you get their good graces and their blessing, you can get the pay per conversion from Google. Hard to get, but it exists.
Or you could just learn pay-per-call.
Or pay-per-call, for sure. With all the mobile traffic, there's no reason not to run it.
Adam, I was going to ask you the same question, kind of, you've been around this space for a long time working with traffic as well. What were kind of your favorite types, and where would you recommend a new publisher or affiliate kind of focus their attention?
So the first question was always second tier, third tier networks, like Michael just described with push or domain redirect or some other type of traffic source that was less competitive and where the company you were buying from isn't some multi-billion-dollar organization. If you're working with a company and they're doing $50 million a year or even $100 million a year, and you can spend $5 million a year with them, you're a significant portion of their business now. And so they're going to go out of their way to make sure that you're a priority and you have more influence. You can build real relationships and you can figure out ways to build a moat. So if I were to go back into affiliate, that's what I would be thinking about, is where are the angles that most people aren't touching. For pay-per-call, that means direct mail, that means stickers, yard signs, all sorts of different things that you can do that are offline or digital, but not the mainstream traffic sources. Maybe there's not as much Facebook volume, volume as on Facebook ads, for instance, but if you can build up a network of other types of traffic sources for more niche campaigns, they end up being incredibly long-term, high-margin campaigns. Friend of ours, friend of the pod, I know he's probably watching, Ariel from Axad, just posted on Instagram the other day that he saw stickers for locksmiths in New York City by a door. And I immediately hit him up and was like, hey, like, how are the stickers working? Like, how many stickers do you have to place? And so that type of campaign to me is fascinating. And I was walking recently in Miami to the bank, and there were signs on fences that just said long-term moving and a phone number. And I called the phone number. It went to a lead generation call center. And then I realized that people were literally walking around Miami and zip tying these long-term moving they're literally like this big cardboard signs to fences, and they're actually getting phone calls off of it. So in the pay-per-call space, I would ask myself, like, how can I spend almost no money, stickers, these signs, whatever, and go do a little bit of work to test out ways to do that. And then once you get a little bit of traction, then you can hire other people to do it. Because the reality is you get one payable phone call off of that sign or one payable phone call off of the sticker. And now you've gotten like 10x ROI on the single sign, single sticker. And so it's a lot of work to scale it, obviously, but no one is doing it. And so I've always been on the lookout for what other people aren't doing. And that kind of goes into my answer to your next question, Josh, which is, a lot of new affiliates try and follow the red ocean wave. They try and follow where all the money is and everyone else is already competing. And that never really, that is never
it's
really
so hard to resist, but be the contrarian. When everyone goes right, take a left.
Yeah, it's something that Harrison and I never really did. We didn't really follow the wave. And we discovered all sorts of different campaigns that really served us well. And that's exactly what I would do if I were to start over as an affiliate today, is I would go looking for not what everyone is doing. I'd go looking for where traffic exists and humans exist, but that no one is advertising to. And I'd try and figure out how to monetize that.
Just to piggyback off that, that's one of the thoughts that I had also. Everyone always tests in the US. The clicks international are so much cheaper. Yeah. It just makes no sense. Like, why go after a really competitive niche in the US?
One of my first big campaigns was dating internationally. It was back in the day when like True.com, SinglesNet, Zeusk, these were the big dating offers. Zeus was sick, dude. They loved me, and they didn't love me. But I'd see people running. They're like, "Oh, I'm gonna pay $5 on this app install for Facebook on Zeus," and I'm like, "Look, you can run Sweden for $475." And I'd run it in the U.S. and I'd spend $2,000 and make $2,016 and be like, "Fuck, well, I can get lunch at McDonald's," and then I'd spend $2,000 in Sweden and make $6,211 and be like, fuck yeah. And
I mean, it's the same thing with Brazil.
No competition. Oh, Brazil's like, it's still crazy. Yeah. I'd be like, the people would be like, well, Harrison, why would you run Brazil? The payout's 73 cents. And I'd be like, don't fuck with Brazil. I made no money. It's terrible.
One of the problems you run into with those big foreign campaigns, and Harrison and I have done it, is you have to be able to handle the infrastructure to actually manage that many clicks. I mean, you're running so many clicks in just Brazil alone that you could like DDoS something from the traffic. So you got back
in the day, like a long time ago, like Adam, you'll know what this is. My guess is 10% or less of people listening to this will know about it. Bogey, you might know about this. There was this offer called PerfSpot. And PerfSpot paid for every country. They were like trying to be MySpace, but like it sucked. It was terrible. And I don't really know how they made money. Actually, they didn't. It didn't last. But like it was like all the networks would have it as like the international redirect for like all the traffic that just randomly, drip through your campaigns. And like the payout was like 20 cents. But like I remember just trying to run like some bullshit India, like run a world. This is like Pakistan, India, like China, Russia, the lowest tier, 0.0002 cents per click, and like spent $1,000, made like $2, but like crashed, direct track or something in the process. Like, oops, sorry, I took 63 affiliate networks down for $800, but that was wild. They're like, dude, Harrison, you made money. We make a margin on this, but we pay for clicks, and like you can't run this campaign because our tracking platform costs are too high. And I'm like, shit. Sorry, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, request costs money.
I broke tracking 202, but whatever.
Grammarly is one of those campaigns. They just tried to do a worldwide campaign a couple months ago, and they set one CPA for everything outside the US, and people made a lot of money until they learned how to do it.
Was it a per sale or an install?
Install.
Oh, wow. Someone is in the marketing department. I have a great idea, and now their LinkedIn says looking for work.
Yeah, I was just gonna say I saw that on Indeed.
Yeah. Ooh,
dude.
Bogey.
Well, for the advertisers out there, make sure you have metrics to understand if you're going to make money within like the first 24 hours of taking some traffic. If you're like, yeah, I can figure out my ROI 3 months from now, you won't have any money left.
Not 24 hours. I mean, it's a little bit more than that. You guys said
there was this one campaign that was pretty good. It was called My Life, and I'm not like rest in peace. I had to stand up. Jesus, yeah. That was
7 months to figure out their ROI.
Yeah, they're still working on it.
Not Indeed, people.
Jeez.
Bogey, I want to thank you for coming on the show. On a scale of 1 to 5, with 1 being not satisfied and 5 being very satisfied, how was your experience on the affiliate marketing show today?
I mean, it was really fun. I'd say a 4.5. I would have liked it more if Adam didn't take all the questions that I was given and answer them for me.
Well,
that's what happens when you answer shittily, bro.
I mean, it's true.
It's all right. We appreciate it. We'll take the 4.5 for myself, Josh. 5
across the board. You guys are great.
5 across the board. Thank you. For Josh from OfferVault.com, Adam, the CEO of Ringba, the marketing guru, Harrison Gevirtz, and the SVP of Partnerships at Shopnomix. Let's make that paper. Let's make that dough. This was the Affiliate Marketing Show. We will see you next time, everybody.